Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, the Yankee offense finally breaks out, and really at a time when they needed the most. Yankees with a 12-4 win to settle for a split with the Tampa Bay Rays. But with all the preamble before that, the offense struggling there. The Yankees, had just about looked like they were going to lose 3 out of 4 in Tampa, getting buried 6 games back in the American League East. And of course, again, all the offensive woes, not hitting at all, getting blanked the game before 3-0 then. And really, there's a number of wins you look back, through the course of the season. This is going to be one of them. Again, if this season goes as it should in the second half, it was, I don't say season-saving win, but pretty as close as a season-saving win as you get, where just everything's going wrong for the Yankees, even to the fact they didn't really have a starter for this one. They had to use an opener. And if any time you need the offense to step up in that type of situation, they finally did. And even though you split 2-2 with Tampa, okay, you didn't really gain any ground. But the fact that you were looking really, just where the Yankees were shaping up there to lose 3 out of 4 of the series there, you'll certainly take the 2-2 split just for the way the Yankee offense has been struggling really since the middle of June. So we'll kind of get into the game a little bit. There's something positive about the Yankee offense for once there. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast, wherever you get your favorite podcast. There's also the YouTube version of the show. Go to YouTube, search for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and subscribe there as well. So as I mentioned before, the Yankees got off to a really good start in this series, and we knew it was going to be big for them. We know the Yankees have been struggling, had a terrible homestand, got swept by Detroit, lose 2 out of 3 against Minnesota. Again, those are 2 franchises, especially at home, the Yankees usually take care of business of, and the Yankee offense has just been awful. A couple of bad starts here and all, but overall, it's really been the Yankee offense is the problem. Great, you win the opener. Cam Schlittler throws you a good game. The Yankees have 3 home runs, and turns out those 3 home runs are only 3 hits they had in the game, and Bednar able to close it out. And then after that, Will Warren, who after a really good start to the season, been scuffling a lot. Okay, it's not a big deal. You lose, 6-4, whatever like that. And then the game after that, you figure Cole building off his last start. Now, Cole wasn't terrible. Pitched into the 7th inning, but the Yankee offense was a complete no-show. They get blanked 3-0. And between games 2 and 3, the Yankees struck out 20 times. Maybe more than that, just whiffing at that. And that's to the point where people are just saying, probably the 3rd time within the last couple of weeks, that the sky is falling, it's all over, this team is done, and all that stuff like that. And to answer the bell, the Yankees come back in this Thursday afternoon finale, and then the offense finally breaks out at the time they need it the most, using Paul Blackburn as an opener, who, again, he's been pitching well out of the late there, so it was a good call. He gives it 2 innings, and the Yankees unload the bullpen. A total of 8 guys pitching, including Camilo Doval, who at least didn't give up any runs, and he did issue a walk, so he wasn't perfect, but at least he didn't give up any grand slams like they usually do there. So the Yankee bullpen all the way through, and again, didn't have to use their really high leverage guys, just for the fact that they hadn't not needed to use them some of the games before. But of course, with the offense exploding, Boone was able to keep the sort of B-level guys there out of the pen again, and highlighted by a couple of home runs by Ben Rice, who's he woke up in this series. 4 total home runs in this series, and he's one of the guys that needed to pick it up. Cody Bellinger still hasn't really picked it up, but in the most recent YouTube episode, and mentioned a little bit here on one of the previous audio podcasts, that's the 2 guys, Ben Rice and Bellinger, who are all-stars, need to pick it up. They've been really had been floundering, and I kind of got into that in the latest YouTube episode. Their last 15 games have been kind of horrendous, but Ben Rice, at least with the home run ball, really turning it on in this series, and even Austin Wells, of all people, getting his 5th home run of the year. And it was really the 3rd inning, the Yankees offense broke out 6 runs, something they hadn't done since middle of June. They did all in the 3rd inning there, so that just shows how bad this offense and how it's been pulling teeth to score runs. But the Yankees put up a 12 spot today against Rasmussen, who, he's not a Cy Young or anything like that, but he's a guy who's always given the Yankees headaches. He doesn't do anything really extremely well, just always keep the Yankees off balance. It always seems like every time the Yankees face him, you almost pencil in a loss, but this time they actually get to Rasmussen, knock him around a little bit. Even Ryan McMahon with a good piece of hitting, getting the Yankees on the board early on to tie the game at 1-1 with an RBI double. And then Ben Rice with a couple of home runs. Really, both of them weren't didn't he really got all of it on his swings there, and the ball just kept carrying almost in both times. Especially the first home run that just barely went over the right field wall, and then the second one to center field again kind of seemed like it was just going to be a kind of a sacrifice fly, and just kept carrying, and turned out to be a 3-run home run again, giving the Yankees enough breathing room at that point, where Boone didn't have to go to the high leverage guys to close out this game. And even without Judge there, this offense was just, I knew it couldn't be that bad, and there was going to be a breakout game at some point. Could have used a couple of these runs yesterday for Garrett Cole, who, he wasn't perfect, but at least pitched decent enough where more often than not that would have been a winning performance for him. But unfortunately, the Yankees were probably, again, a new low, at least at that point, again, with all the strikeouts and not putting up one run in the game there. But the Yankees finally answering back now. This had to do something with Brian Cashman, who before the game, spoke to reporters, and I don't know, did he go into the clubhouse and shake things up and throw a table over something? Hard to say. I don't think so. Or just the fact that his presence there, did that shake some people up? Again, hard to tell because, I'm sure the Yankees, I don't know if they have like a magic button they could just turn on. Cashman's here. Let's be good now. So Cashman, with some of his comments, he was asked about Boone, and he pretty much had Boone's back as you expect. He said he was doing a really good job. He works hard and all that stuff. And I kind of really got into this deeper in the previous YouTube episode. The two of them ain't going anywhere for the rest of 2026. So if you're one of those fans that want to call in to fire Boone, it's just not happening. I kind of gave the long-rated reason that, but it's just not happening. So Cashman kind of put that to bed right away. Just says they need to play better. And again, he did acknowledge, yes, they've been pretty much awful the past 3 weeks. Now, as for Aaron Judge, looks like they're going to re-image that rib sometime during the All-Star break, and then from there they'll have an idea of what they want to do in terms of his workouts. He hasn't done much upper workout just because they don't, do any further damage on the rib, so he's kind of doing quote-unquote lower body workouts in the meantime there, so that's the update on Judge. So the Yankees, again, probably avert, another disaster. If they would have lost this game, you'd have been 6 games back, and it's just, all the negativity and all the doubtfulness. And then, even if you go into the Nationals there, who, they've kind of been a bit of a better team than how they started the season, that was going to be no pushover. Now the Yankees are the better team than the Nationals, but again, the Yankees haven't been playing great, and we saw the Yankees at home lose 2 out of 3 to the Cincinnati Reds. So again, no easy task to go down in Washington and win some ball games there. But the way they pulled away at this one, if you could go into Washington, not completely collapse and just maybe win 2 out of 3 there, you feel much, much better than you probably did 2 nights ago. When the Yankees took that 3-0 loss in the Garrett Cole game, at least, end this first half of the season a little bit of a winning note there, and then you kind of hope for some, cross the fingers, some, at least as positive news as possible on Judge. Again, even if you get a positive news on him to see where that rib is in terms of the fracture, how is it healed, and you get a sort of a timetable when he could come back. It's still going to probably be sometime in August at best, but if you could just get a little bit of winning, maybe, even though you don't want to go too close look at the standings there, but obviously you don't want to fall behind by 6 games. But if Tampa maybe scuffles a little bit this last weekend, the Yankees go win a couple of games, and the Nationals maybe cut it down to 3 or 2 games back there, and you're feeling much better than you did a couple of days ago. And this is good to see Ben Rice finally, as he's entering the home run hitting contest, and he kind of looks like he's really got some good momentum doing that. Again, hitting 4 home runs in this series, and maybe he got a couple more than Washington, and it'll be his father who'll be throwing in the meatball pitches for him. So that'll be exciting to see. And overall, the Yankees sending 4 players to the All-Star game, of course, one of them being Judge, who of course can't play, but I guess he'll just be there sitting on the bench and smiling. Bellinger and Ben Rice I mentioned. Those are the 2 who probably will actually play. Not sure how the situation with Cam Schlittler. You figure Schlittler is probably going to pitch one of these games in Washington, seeing how that goes. Now, the Tuesday game, the 14th, I don't know if that's one of his throw days, or possibly if he does pitch in the Washington series, he may not be available to play. So he is named as the 4th All-Star, but again, just depending on his pitching workload, is he going to be available to pitch the game? It's hard to see right now. If he does pitch, he'll probably be the starter for the American League. No doubt about that. Going against probably the Miz, whatever, the Mets from the Brewers there, but maybe it'll be like a bullpen day for him, so maybe we'll just have to cross our fingers again. So we'll at least get 2 Yankees in that game, might get 3, but those are the 4 that are being sent. So that's the episode. Even though it's a split in Tampa, it almost feels like a win because, the Yankees really averted a disaster, but the offense finally breaks out. I'm not saying that, okay, it's all smooth going forward. I mean, the Yankees could literally just score only 1 or 2 runs the next couple of games. I'm not saying they're cured, but this was a big win for the Yankees, and you always think the latest win is the biggest win, but just, seeing what the state of the Yankees right now in this situation and in Tampa, a place that they normally struggle in, to get this win in this situation and walk away with the split, you certainly feel good for yourself if you're a Yankee fan. Catch you next time.